Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 94 of the podcast. My name is Rick DeWeese. I'll be your host this week. This week we start off with an email from Joe. Talk about some a shave of the day. I got a mail call this weekend that was just, well, beyond fabulous. It really was. And tell you all about it. I had the internet here at the Fortified Command Post had an issue. Yeah, I'll tell you all about that too. Father's Day and a cool Daddy O shave. Yeah, good stuff. All right, we'll take a quick commercial break in the middle of all that. Then we'll get back to a couple of Monday's shave of the day, getting ready for Scout Camp and what all that entails and what it means and why it's a good thing. Tuesday's shave of the day, and I also throw in just, well, the pen of the day, just because. And then finally, relax and reset. Sometimes you need to. Let's get on with this show. I got an email from Joe. Hi, Rick. Your friend Joe here again to compliment last week's podcast. Great segment. It seems that wet shavers have more in common than I originally anticipated. You mentioned you wear a mechanical watch and carry a fountain pen on a daily basis, and how these possessions of higher quality interest you. I also carry a fountain pen and wear a mechanical watch daily, and was happy to hear that I was not the only one to do so. In fact, there are many wet shavers who also merge into the wonderful world of fountain pens, mechanical watches, and some even add a shoe shine kit or a nice pocket knife to the mix. What I've learned is that wet shavers start their journey for different reasons, whether it's to save money, obtain a better shave, or to try something different, but they all have one thing in common. They are all individualist. Wet shavers do not follow the herd. They lead it. Every wet shaver is a leader, as they choose to go against the common belief that more is better and take the chance in something that involves a different set of skills. These skills require time and practice to virtually get the same result from a task that previously was seen as a chore before even starting the journey. Wet shaving becomes a way of life for those who master it and opens the door for other interests that may have been surpassed by cheaper, faster, and easier options as our lives became more complex. Thanks again, Rick, for your support, and as always, I look forward to the next podcast. Regards, Joe. Well, Joe, first off, thank you very much for the email. He's got Joe also has an eBay service listed for honing and repairing straight razors at a minimal cost. So I will put up the link for that as well. And there's possibility that he says he's been honing for about 4 years, and so he's looking to expand if he can. So give him a shout and check out his eBay service there and see if it's something you'd be interested in. Give him contact him and let him know what you got. See if you work something out. Anything to help out somebody who's out there trying to make a difference is a good thing. Okay, well, it is an absolutely gorgeous day out today. So let's talk about, well, the shave of the day. All right, so last week I played around with my Mercure slant and thoroughly enjoyed it. I needed a change of pace this morning, so I whipped out my straight razor, and my Bell brand straight razor in particular, and proceeded to give myself a nice straight shave with some Cella and let's see, I believe, yes, I did. I used my Badger brush, my 830 Samog, and some Cella and my Bell brand. Did a great job. Probably could have used just a little bit more touch-up around the neck, but all in all, wasn't bad. Now, My Bell brand, as I've said on a couple of occasions, has a nice square point on the end. No, it did not nick me in the neck. It did not nick me in the face. After after I was done, I was wiping it down with a tissue before I put it up. And lo and behold, that square tip bit me right in the end of the finger. Now, a couple of things came to mind. First off, crap, this is going to bleed. Secondly, why the heck don't they use straight blades or something like that instead of those little itty bitty, I don't know, what are they, needles or whatever the heck, that hurt like hell when they're taking blood samples from you for like diabetics and things like that. I'm here to tell you, when I hit myself with that razor, I didn't even feel it. I literally didn't feel it. The only thing I knew was that it was bleeding all over the place, but didn't even feel it. It was, I mean, literally, that was the first thing that dawned in my head was, good gosh, this is a heck of a lot better way to take blood samples than those little needles that, like I said, hurt like heck. So, anyhow, side note. So I couldn't get the silly thing to stop bleeding either. That was, your fingers, they got a lot of capillaries, I guess, in them and bleed profusely. And it looked like it'd stop, and then as soon as I put pressure on it, out it'd come again. And it's like, well, geez. So I'm sitting there, and I washed it off, thought I had it, just a small little cut or something, no big deal, and went to wash my face, and I look up, and I got blood on the bridge of my nose. Oh, well. The life of someone who plays with sharp things. The good news is that they are indeed sharp, because they gave me a very, very nice shave. Having a dull straight razor is a little aggravating. It pulls. It's like scraping instead of cutting. It's not too good. But anyhow, all in all, a great shave. Finished off with some Clubman after I put a Band-Aid on my finger. And finished off with some Clubman and went down and made breakfast. So all in all, good stuff this morning. Well, we're getting an early start to the day, and, well, let's talk about the shave of the day. Okay, so I got to talk about, several shaves of the day here, because I got a package. You want to talk about a mail call? Holy cow. Okay, so I got a package from Deluxe Shaving. Now, Anthony up there had written me and had asked me if I would mind sampling, or trying out, reviewing some of his soaps. And I said, sure. I said, if you happen to have some samples, that'd be cool, no big deal. Great. And if you want to put an ad on the show, that'd be great too. I'll help you out, everything, just doing what I normally do, trying to uplift and help out as much as possible. And so I get a box. And this silly thing is absolutely packed full of full-size jars of Deluxe Shaving soap. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow. Wow. So as soon as I got the box unwrapped and we had perused all the soaps, I kind of felt my face and decided, you know what? It's Friday night. I need a shave. So off to the shave den I went and grabbed a tub of Rosemary Woods, and proceeded to soak a brush just to enjoy the experience of a Friday afternoon shave. It's always good, at least in my estimation, to have a shave on Friday afternoon. It kind of separates the work week from the weekend with just, one more thing that makes it very obvious. And I like that. It's very, very relaxing. Now the soaps themselves, they're soft soaps. They're not terribly hard. They are soft soaps, so they lather and load well. Now they're a tallow-based soap, but the other tallow-based soaps that I've dealt with were not soft. They were a little bit harder, and they had a little bit of an issue loading. And I could load them and lather, but it took a little bit more time. The rosemary woods, which is cedar and some other floral scents, really did an excellent job in loading. It was fairly soft and didn't have any issues. And that ease of loading really, really makes a difference in being able to then create lather. So it loaded up very nicely. I'm trying to remember, I believe I used my 830 brush. I used a boar brush on this one. And, loaded exceptionally well with that. And, all in all, it was a great shave. Used one of my, straight razors for that. And, well, just because, it's the weekend. I've got the extra time. It's kind of that, all of a sudden I'm not into the rush and bustle, if you will, of the work week. I am into the weekend, and I can chill out and relax and take a little bit of extra time, and, well, no big deal. Now, the scent was it was fabulous. It really was. It, really did a nice job. I found the lather to be nice and thick. I used 1 teaspoon of water, and which is kind of my normal. You could put more in it, and I did that later on just to test. And yes, you can get a very wide range of water ratios in there. And in fact, just with a brush, like a boar brush or a badger brush, you could have a very thick lather if you didn't put any extra water in it at all, or if the water that you put in was just a quick dip of the tips of the bristles of the brush to add just a little bit extra. So you do have that ability to play around with the lather, and it seemed to respond very well to that. It didn't seem dry. Some soaps that you do that with, and you lather them up and you maintain them fairly thick, they have a dry feel to them. So this one did not. Very easy lathering, very nice lathering soap. Excellent smell. Good face feel at the end of it. So the scent of rosemary woods, it's a phenomenal scent. It is lavender, rosemary, and cedarwood. Okay, now we all like lavender. I like lavender. I like lavender a lot. Rosemary, oh my goodness. I have a rosemary bush out in the garden that is, well, monstrous. I love rosemary. Rosemary and sage are probably a couple of my favorites. But yeah, rosemary, it's a very calming herb for me. It's akin to lavender, which I also have a small lavender bush. But it is akin to lavender in that it is very calming. And cedarwood. Cedar is also another exceptionally calming fragrance, and the combination, I think, and in fact I have a cedar tree in my yard as well. The combination of those three is really a nice combination, and the deluxe shaving soap setup for that fragrance in rosemary woods is, well, in my opinion, spot on. It's not too heavy on any one thing. It is a good mix. It is very nicely balanced in scent profile. Really, really enjoyable. I've really enjoyed using it, and to a certain extent, it reminds me of my backyard, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. It was a very nice break for a Friday afternoon. It was I don't know. After the week that I had, it was well deserved. So I get home yesterday, and my next door neighbor, bless his heart, is putting in an irrigation system. He's putting in he's decided that he's got a fairly large lawn, and he has decided that he is rather tired of trying to pull hoses around all summer long to water the thing adequately. There are certain areas that he wants to water and stuff, and he's got sprinklers set up and all this other stuff, and he's just tired of pulling it all around. So he's putting in an irrigation system. So lo and behold, I get home, and Wi-Fi signal all day long. No internet whatsoever. It is gone. Cable is cut. Clean in two, a chunk about 8 inches long, pulled right out of the ground by the ditch witch in order for this guy to have his irrigation. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, wait a minute. There are free services that come out and mark this stuff just so this kind of crap does not happen. But lo and behold, did he use said services? No. Talk about aggravating. Oh well. The good news is that with the internet out in the house, the amazing thing is suddenly my younger son, who usually spends his time up in his room on Facebook and communicating with friends and other things via the internet, all of a sudden found his evening free and decided to join us watching a movie. So it was the side benefit, I guess, was a little bit of family night, which was cool. And you get to a point where you just, you just stop fighting. And I guess that's where I am. But I'm here to tell you, if I ever had an opportunity to do it over again, I would have kept the internet at bay a lot longer for, just, I don't know, just one of those things. It's an easy escape. It's an easy mechanism to just lose yourself in. And this is coming from somebody who is connected all the time. It amazes me. I live with my phone in my pocket, constantly checking emails, voice messages, things like that. I am connected all the time. It really amazes me when I send somebody an email, especially someone who has sent me an email that has asked me something that I believe they want a fairly rapid response to, or a fairly rapid exchange of communication. And so they send me an email, and I answer like within a half an hour of when I get the email. And then it's like 2, 3, 4 days, not hours, days later when I get a subsequent reply. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, okay, was it not that serious? Was it not that big a deal? Were they kidding? I figure if they really wanted an answer, they'd check their emails occasionally to find out what the response is. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I said, I'm kind of an odd character. I carry a fountain pen, wear a mechanical watch, and I am connected to the internet and email at all times. It's I'm a little different, I'll admit it. But hey, you use what works, and for me, that's what works. So to continue on the saga of Shave of the Days, the next Shave of the Day that I need to report was Cool Daddy O on Saturday with Deluxe Shaving. And that was the one that my son latched onto and said, hey, it's Father's Day weekend. You have got to try this. Okay, so Cool Daddy O is an orange and menthol, basically. I mean, those are the primary things that are in it. Very nice orange smell. I really enjoyed it. And in fact, while I was using it, I wished I had a little bit more Jaloux l'Orange Noir. Unfortunately, I don't, but that would have been a very, very nice pairing. So the cooling effects of the menthol were they, terribly, terribly cooling? Yeah. Not as bad as some, a little bit more than others. Kind of middle of the ground, I would say. Now, normally I don't like menthol. I find it a bit of a distraction. However, quite honestly, it's summer, and here in South Carolina, it has been in the 90s. And so, quite honestly, being able to go and have a cool menthol shave was actually very refreshing. I had found it in the past to be, well, I don't know, just a tad annoying. Quite honestly, I did not find it to be annoying. I found it to be rather nice. And I think, this is just me, I think that the menthol definitely works in the summertime. In the fall, winter, early spring, things like that, it's just your mind isn't quite ready for it. It's almost like, you could use the cinnamon-based soaps in the wintertime and the menthol-based soaps in the summertime and be just fine. Anyhow, that was also a straight razor shave with my little case and case straight razor, and thoroughly enjoyed that. Did give myself one little nick though. It's just I still do that from time to time, It's just, oh well. It happens, okay? It happens. And like I've always said, anybody that tells you that you're they're an expert with a straight razor, okay. Really? As long as you're doing it for yourself and there are distractions that occur and yeah, it happens. It happens. Maybe if you're a barber and shave 1,000 people a day, maybe you'd get to a point where you could be okay with it. But I don't know. As an individual shaver, I just every now and then I'll still hang myself every now and then. But there you go. It's part of the learning experience. Anyhow, the orange was just a very, very nice orange smell coming through with the menthol feel. It kind of made me feel like a sherbet. Not quite, but the orange smell is a very rich orangey smell. So I really did enjoy that, and my son was happy that I in fact used Cool Daddy O on Father's Day weekend, and so all was good with the world. So there you go.
Do you remember a time when things were not so rushed? A time when doing things the correct way took time and patience. A time when our society was not obsessed by cell phones or the latest digital toy. Wet shaving is a task that can be enjoyable if you take the time to do it right. It's not something that should be rushed. It's something that needs attention to detail, something that can actually be enjoyed instead of being a chore. We at Deluxe Shaving Company understand this, and we want to help you enjoy this experience. Give us an opportunity to be part of your morning routine, and you won't be disappointed. The Deluxe Shaving Company's foundation is based on traditional values and a hard work ethic. We're a small company, not a large corporation, and we like it that way. Being small allows us to be maneuverable and respond instantly to a changing market. It also allows our customers to have direct contact with us. Our shaving creams are produced in the USA by a skilled artisan. Every batch of our shaving cream is aged until it is just right. Once ready, they are all hand-blended with essential and fragrance oils. Then the jars are filled, one by one. Even the labels are applied manually without the help of modern machinery. This process takes us a long time, but sometimes it takes a long time to do things the right way. Deluxe Shaving Company's product line covers a wide spectrum of scents, from earthy woods to bright, crisp citrus to fresh floral scents. Our shaving cream comes in large 5-ounce containers that are filled right to the top. All of our products are tallow-based and contain palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil, and kaolin to give you a close, comfortable shave and moisturized post-shave feel. The performance of our shaving cream can be fine-tuned to your liking by customizing your combination of brush loading and the amount of water used to lather. Our creams are capable of handling a lot of water for a slicker shave or less water for more cushion and protection. Deluxe Shaving Cream does not clog your razor, and it rinses away easily. The scents used in our shaving cream really develop and evolve when lathered. Your shaved den will be filled with the wonderful scents of our Deluxe Shaving Creams. Our products are available exclusively from our website at www.deluxeshaving.com. We offer free shipping for orders over $50. Have a deluxe shave.
Now, for the shave of the day this morning, we went back to Rosemary Woods, and again, the latherability of this of the deluxe shaving soap is really phenomenal. Really enjoyed it. It's not difficult to lather at all, and had a nice shave. So I used the Aristocrat razor this morning, and the Aristocrat razor was mated with a racer blade. Now, a racer blade, I've had this silly thing for a while. I bought it from Tri-Blades, I think, way back when, and it's just kind of been sitting on the shelf, so I finally decided, well, I'll go ahead and give it a use. And it's not bad. It's I don't know. It's not phenomenal by any means. Now, of course, the running joke is the packaging of this thing has a guy running in these racing shorts, which is just, you look at it and you go, oh my gosh. But like I said, I've had this for a while. I decided to go ahead and give it a try. It's a bottom of the, it's the top of the low end, bottom of the medium, I mean, it's not a great blade. It's an okay blade. It does the job, it's not fabulous, but it's okay. If it's the only thing you have, okay. Yeah. Just, be gentle with them as with all blades, and you'll probably be just fine. And not a big deal. I put it in the best razor that I knew to put it in, and it still did a 3-pass shave, which with a Gillette Silver Blue or a feather or a crystal or a something of that quality would have given me an absolute BBS shave. This is socially acceptable, not BBS by any means. Okay, it's a blade, and we'll just leave it at that. I might use it again tomorrow, and then I'll go ahead and punt it into the dustbin of history and say, okay, I've used it, I'm done. Sometimes you just got to do that. Anyhow, the Rosemary Woods again performed flawlessly. I found the scent, I don't know if it was something, the first day, after I had smelled all the other soaps or just what it was, but the scent really opened up, and it was very nice. It's very, very subtle. and at the same time, a tad complex is a very good pairing of scents if you like those kind of fragrances. So good stuff there. A teaspoon of water. Why did I say tablespoon? I never use tablespoons. A teaspoon of water. So a teaspoon of water, very, very nice lather, loaded great. Used my Nathan Clark Badger brush, and just fabulous shave. With that razor blade, I even tried a few touch-ups, and it's just, I had more than enough lather with. I think I loaded the brush for like 30 seconds. It was not long at all. It's really good stuff. So enjoyed that this morning, and that was the shave of the day. Followed it up with Jaloux White Lily, just because, well, I don't know, I felt like kind of woodsy and summery and springtimey all at the same time. It was good stuff. So there you go. That's what I did this morning. All right, so summer is upon us, and one of the things that I do in the summer that I really, really enjoy is go to summer camp with my scout troop. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, you go out with a scout troop and you basically sort of semi-camp. And when I say semi-camp, okay, there's a bathroom, there's showers, there's Adirondacks, which is like an open front cabin for the boys, and we sit up there and keep them safe and let them have fun and enjoy camp, and it's very, very relaxing. At least it is for me. Now, the reason that it is for me is because, first off, it's away from, well, everything. It's far enough away that it's difficult to pull up stakes, if you will, and come back to deal with anything. So it is a week where I just literally take the brain, take work, take home, take everything, and just kind of flip the switch, click it off, and relax. Do something different for a while. So for me, it is an absolutely fabulous vacation. It's out in the mountains of the upstate of South Carolina. Is it hot? Oh yeah, it is hot. It is humid. It rains every now and then. And you know what? That's kind of what makes it almost worth doing, to be quite honest. It's almost cathartic, if you will. Coming out of that, and the only thing that I wish is that I wish I had enough time to take a day or two after I get back to kind of chill out, relax, catch my breath, and transition, if you will. To a certain extent, it's kind of makes me think, not in the same severity, but the principle is the same. Back in World War II, soldiers would come out of the war zones, whether that be Europe or Asia, and they would travel for the most part by boat, and it would take them a while, and it would give them a time to talk with their buddies, talk with, relax, chill out, transition, understand that, they're not at war anymore, kind of thing, before they come back to society. It's, were there problems sometimes? Yeah, all the time. It's a terrible thing, but it wasn't a transition that was overnight. Now, switch that to the Vietnam War, where we flew everybody everywhere, and within 24 hours you were, on the streets of New York or in a war zone. That is a fast transition that, quite honestly, I don't know if the human mind can deal with. And I don't know if anybody ever studied that, but sure would be a curious thing to look at. Now, so it would be nice to be able to go from one to the other and transition just a little bit and make that a little bit more of a relaxing transition, instead of, okay, 1 minute you're chilled out and relaxed, the next minute you're packing everything up, hurrying up, and then getting the heck out, coming home, unpacking everything, getting everything cleaned up, and by the time you're done, you're in bed, and then you're going to work the next day. It's like, holy cow. But at the same time, that week of relaxing is well worth the price, well worth the effort. And we get to do a lot, with the guys, the scouts. We always take a ham radio up there and, teach them about ham radios and, teach them about, plants and knots and just all kinds of stuff. It's do a lot of merit badges up there, and, they got swimming and boating and kayaking and fishing and, just hanging out. And we always go back, if you've never been involved in a scout troop, one of the nice things is that for summer camp anyhow, we always go at the same time of year. So the scout troops that go to camp, say during, for us it's week 5, and it's just the 5th week of camp. And so the scouts that go to camp week 5 are typically the same troops year after year after year. And so the guys that these guys met last year, okay, from the different troops around the area, or sometimes we have troops come all the way up from Florida, and they come consistently on week 5. Those guys that they meet, they develop relationships with over the course of years. And some of them are very long-standing relationships. They develop relationships with the camp counselors, who are usually the same guys for years on end, just because there's an opportunity. The camp counselors I think they can go in as a kind of a counselor in training when they're, 14 or 15 or maybe 16, I think it is. And if they become a counselor, they can then become part of an explorer troop and be with the program until they're 21. And so you can imagine that some of these counselors have been there five summers in a row, and so there's a lot of longevity there. There's a lot of ties and networking and interconnections, and it's funny. The boys they enjoy seeing their friends, but they don't really understand the value of those networks and things that are being built. And it's only later that when they get out into the business world and they realize that a lot of what they're able to do is because of that networking capability, that they understand that they've actually had practice at this. And, in a lot of cases, kids that have not been scouts don't necessarily have that capabilities. Now, some do with church groups and stuff, but there's a lot of kids out there that don't get the ability to do that. So that's always good. Now, of course, it's also a time to just have fun and do some wet shaving stuff out in in a camping environment. I typically take my bomb, which is my little waterproof case with everything that I need in it for a week, and it's always a head scratcher. What do I take? Which razors? Which brush? So I don't know. It's coffee is always a big thing because if you have the extra time, all of a sudden you're roasting coffee and having a good time, reading a book, playing on the ham radio. It's just it's all good stuff. Anyhow, that's kind of what's going on this summer. It'd be probably about 3 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks now, and before camp. And so we're really looking forward to that. We're going to be taking 10 boys up there, and hopefully we'll have an excellent, excellent time. So for the shave of the day this morning, I did something just a little bit different. The shave of the day this morning, again, was with Deluxe Shaving Soap, and, had a good time with that. However, I chose a different scent. Today's scent was Midnight Garden, and a very nice scent. The Midnight Garden has geranium, ylang-ylang, orange, neroli, and vetiver. Now, for me, the largest scent contributors in Midnight Garden are the geranium and the ylang-ylang, and the other ones are just kind of hidden in the background to a certain extent. But the geranium gives it just a very, very nice floral scent. Really like that. And okay, so Jumped in the shower. I did bloom the soap, just to see what it would do, because quite honestly, smelling the jar didn't quite, it smelled okay, but it wasn't as fragrant, I guess, as what I thought it should be. And so I decided to bloom the soap to soften it up just a little bit more than what it already is, to kind of be able to load a little bit more in and get a little bit more of the fragrance. So it went ahead and jumped in the shower, soaked the brush, and used my 830 bore brush, and loaded up the brush and proceeded to throw it in the bowl. Now, unlike under normal conditions, when I usually just automatically throw a teaspoon of water in there, today I tried it with, well, a little bit less water, about half a teaspoon, and threw that in there and came up with a very nice, thick, luxurious lather. And threw that on and proceeded to shave again with the racer blade in the Aristocrat. Now, the racer blade, like I said yesterday, was just, I don't know. If somebody gave them to me, I would probably keep them around, but only for, well, emergencies, until my stash of good stuff ran out. For me, it's not a high quality blade. So I went ahead and used it. I figured I'd get 2 days out of it, and then I'd chunk it. And the second day, kind of like the first, I went over 3-pass shave, little touch up, and put a little bit more pressure on it. And even with that, I got a, it's a socially acceptable shave. It's not BBS by any means, and not a whole lot of irritation, but at the same time, there was a little roughness and just. It was interesting. There was one spot, and I went against the grain, and there were actually a couple of spots that even though I went over them, it didn't seem like it cut at all, which was curious. So I went back over, and voila, it took care of things. But I've been shaving for a while, and I know I went over the area, and so to then feel back and have the same level of stubble as I did, for the first pass, just kind of still there. It was like, well, okay, something's going on, so that blade's, gone, and don't like that. So, and it be quite honest, that's never, as I recall, never occurred before, so unique and not very good. Anyhow, that was kind of the blades or the blade issue that I dealt with this morning. Now the soap itself, again, very thick with a half teaspoon of water. Didn't have any problems, lathers. Gosh, it lathers almost. I could almost say effortlessly. It's really a good lathering soap, and the smell was very nice. Finished that up, in fact, with some Jaloux veiled flowers, and the combinations of the floral scents and everything else was very, very nice. And in fact, it was kind of appropriate when I grabbed the bottle of veiled flowers. I looked down, and lo and behold, the label on it was kind of a purplish tint. As was the labeling on the deluxe shaving soap. So I thought, well, okay, there you go. So all good stuff, and so we're off to the races here, trying to make our way to the donut factory to earn a few more pennies today. Keep myself in the spirit that I have become accustomed to, I guess is the best way to put it. Fountain pen in the pocket, mechanical watch on the hand. Fountain pen that I'm using today is my Pilot Vanishing Point. I enjoy this pen, especially after I've cleaned it up. It flows just a little bit better, so that's nice. Although I am looking for a new point, a new insert for it. It's interesting with the Vanishing Points; they're much more like a mechanical ballpoint pen than anything else. there's the insert holds the ink cartridge, the nib, and everything else, and you can actually unscrew it, and just like the ink cartridge on a ballpoint pen, you can take the ink cartridge, the fountain pen cartridge, out of the vanishing point. Well, the one I have is a medium nib, and the medium nib for my taste is just, it's wide. Holy cow, it's wide. So, and I really enjoy fine points more than I do wide points. So I'm looking for a new insert. They're about $70, but the other thing that's interesting is that they've changed them. The originals had a sack for the ink, like the old time pens, and the new ones have a twist converter, which is a little plunger converter to suck the ink up in, and so a little bit more of a modern take, I guess, on the original concept. But like I said, the ones that I've seen are between $50 and $70, somewhere in there, and then you buy it and fill it up with ink and throw it in the pen, and you're off to the races. And all in all, it's good stuff. It is a nice pen, though. It fits well in the hand. I really enjoy it. It's got a little bit of heft to it. It's all in all good stuff. So that's what I've got today as far as the writing instrument.
So, this week's rant, if you will, is brought to you by my wife. Not the cause of, but just brought to you by. She made me say that. She made me promise I would put that in. What we were discussing, it was interesting. I was discussing with her that maybe the reason that we, as wet shavers, utilize wet shaving gear and brushes, soaps, razors, whether they're DE, single-edge, straight razors, whatever, aftershaves, etc. And the fact that we're also have a tendency to utilize fountain pens, mechanical watches, axes, knives, things like that. The discussion led to, as I've often thought, maybe it's due to the fact that we are wanting to rekindle a time when things were, just a little slower, just a little bit easier to manage, a little bit more heartfelt, because you had the opportunity and you had the time, to do that. And the discussion then went into the education system. And she was commenting on the things that my son, for example, had learned in biology was in a high school level about the same as what she had seen in college level biology as she was coming up and going to school. And as we talked about it, it dawned on me that what is happening today, it used to be, as she pointed out, that, you had a job, you would get a memo or something via interoffice mail. And you had an opportunity to basically sit on it for a week while you were figuring out what to do with it, and then you would send it back via interoffice mail. And you really had an opportunity there to look into it, to delve into something, to ponder, to work on it, if you will. Whereas nowadays, in the latest and greatest iteration of internet, emails, things like that, instant messaging, things come at you so fast that you really don't get an opportunity at all. You really don't get an opportunity at all to, do anything with it, really, other than pass it through, if you will, a fairly, large filter and say, okay, it's good, go. And essentially what that has led to in the world of education, it becomes very apparent, is teaching is essentially a mile wide and an inch deep. What do I mean by that? I mean, the breadth of information that is covered is huge. The problem is that nobody gets an opportunity to actually do much with it. It would be, for example, like watching somebody
shave with a straight razor, for example, on YouTube channels. Okay, and we have a lot of those, and that's why I picked that example. It would be like, okay, you watch a couple of people shave, you get a straight razor, you do it once, voila, you're a pro, right? It doesn't work that way. Yes, you can say you've done it, but you haven't mastered it. And there is then some struggle without the ability to train and talk and everything else with somebody who is knowledgeable in a classroom setting, for example, to actually get that true understanding. You know, for example, one of the things that I mentioned was back when I was in school, yeah, we had biology. We did a lot of dissections and things like that. But half of the class really was not necessarily the dissection, but the note-taking and observational skills that were developed in recording what you were doing during the dissection. And that part, in a lot of instances, has been, well, erased. You know, it used to be that when you did a paper, for example, you would go to the library and you would search in the card catalogs for information, and then you would note them down, or you would take notes on note cards and you would assemble them together and figure out how your paper, went together. And there was some time and thought and dare I say, effort put into a paper. Nowadays, it is, well, a lot easier in some instances to put together that paper. The research material is potentially easier to find on the internet. The gambit of information out there is huge, as we all know, so well in the wet shaving world, whether it's how to make a lather or what soap to use or how to make aftershaves or shaving with a straight razor or honing or stropping or, you become overwhelmed. It's like you're being fed with a fire hose, but not with the ability to actually get anything in depth. And when you step back, you realize that a lot of life right now is instant gratification, no ability to look at anything and actually figure out, okay, what does this mean? What are the implications of this? No, it's just, here's a 5,000 page document, deal with it, and tell me whether or not you agree with it tomorrow. Well, no one in their right mind can do that. It's not possible. But yet, that's the expectation. That is what we have evolved into. And so, quite honestly, for me, I think that one of the reasons, for example, that we gravitate, if you will, toward things like typewriters, coffee grinders, making your own coffee, brewing your own coffee using traditional methods, wet shaving, the actual gear that you use wet shaving, fountain pens, ink, dip pens, calligraphy. There is a need, of almost physical, palpable need to, at some point in the life, of everyday hustle and bustle, just go, stop the madness. Just stop. Hold on a minute. Let me catch my breath. Let me do something that takes a little bit of focused thought, gives a nice result, and something that I can disengage from the absolute screaming in my head where results are desired now. Just for a moment. Whether that's when you wake up in the morning to, have a shave, whether that's when you, after the shave or before, to make a cup of coffee, to grind some coffee beans and boil some water and make an absolutely beautiful pour over or French press coffee or something like that. Or if it's just the simple act of sitting there at a desk with a bottle of ink and a fountain pen, and filling the fountain pen and cleaning things up in almost a ritualistic fashion that is really more about, well, the ritual. Just to slow down and to stop and to say, okay, enough. I'm not doing emails. I'm not writing a note here. I'm filling a pen. Not because it's efficient or effective or anything like that, just so I have a reason. Sort of like smoking cigarettes to some people, but just so I have a reason to stop and let my brain reset just for a moment. Now, when you think about it in that light, it all sort of kind of makes sense. As our lives become more and more hectic, we look for those avenues, if you will, to slow things down and reset the brain, if you will, so that you can go back and then all of a sudden deal with, the 15 emails that have just piled up in your inbox in the last 20 minutes. You have the ability to process those quickly, because it's almost like you exercise for a little bit and then you take a break. Why do you do that? You do that so that your muscles can recover. And similarly, in wet shaving, coffee, fountain pens, whatever, it's a revelation that I do those things anyhow, so that my brain can recover. So that in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, where everybody's beating on me and wanting attention, and there's catastrophes everywhere, and I'm supposed to be excited and on point, and oh my gosh, it's all going to end, and do this and answer this email, and whoa, stop. Take a deep breath. And so as I'm sitting here writing the notes for the podcast with a fountain pen, looking at my mechanical watch from time to time to make sure I still have time to do the things that I want to do, thinking about the wet shaving experience for the day and what soaps I'm going to use and on, I realized that part of what I have put into my daily life has in fact allowed me to, from time to time, reset and recover. So my question for you is, do you have something in your life that allows you to reset and recover? If you do, hopefully it's wet shaving. Hopefully you find it relaxing enough that it does allow you to reset just a bit. And if you enjoy that resetting and that calming effect, then what I might suggest is that you try other things in your life that are maybe not so hectic, maybe not so digital, maybe not so, computer-oriented, fast-paced oriented. Sit down and take the time to write a handwritten note to someone. Write a letter. Read an actual book instead of off a Kindle or a computer screen. There are just certain things that allow the mind to step back in time to a more, relaxed situation. And what you may find, or at least what I find, is that it allows me to take everything that's being thrown at me right now in the world in context. Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at brushandsoapandblade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at BrushnBlade. You can also visit us at our blog, brushandsoapandblade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher.